In Book 8 of the Republic, Plato makes distinctions between different types of government. We will be exploring how modern-day China would fit into this system. Plato begins by describing the Callipolis, which is considered the ideal city. The reason this is most just is that it's ruled by philosopher kings. Ideally, this creates harmony within the three classes. The dissolution of this city occurs when the rulers, due to an inadequate reliance on sense perception, make mistakes in their eugenic calculations, something that allows inferior people to join the class of the rulers. This most naturally leads to timocracy, which Plato considers to be the honor-loving city, which is ruled by the pursuit of power, honor, and success. The next most logical progression would be to what is considered the oligarchy. As the timocracy is dominated by the love and pursuit of honor, so oligarchies are ruled by necessary appetites. This naturally leads to an instability produced by the disparity in wealth. The city is thus divided in two cities, that of a small few who own much of the wealth, and that conformed by the rest of the population who is poor. The next progression is to a democracy. The popular classes uprise against the oligarchs and give rise to the democracy, in which both equals and unequals have political equality. This new city, in which freedom is excessive, is ruled by unnecessary appetites. And lastly, we have the worst of the forms of government, the tyranny, which comes when the lack of discipline and moderation in the democratic city leads to chaos. An experienced and charismatic champion will come to fix the problems of the city, and once he has gotten the power, he will turn into a lawless tyrant, who will rule following only his personal interest. And lastly, we have the worst of the forms of government, the tyranny, which comes when the lack of discipline and moderation in the democratic city leads to chaos. An experienced and charismatic champion will come to fix the problems of the city, and once he has gotten the power, he will turn into a lawless tyrant, who will rule following only his personal interest. China is currently a socialist republic, one in which the state, the Communist Party, and the army are the backbones of the political system, with the Communist Party holding power and controlling the other two. In China, there isn't a clear division of powers. The executive, legislative, and judicial branches are subordinated to the authority of the party. Although there are 8 other political parties, these create no opposition for the Communist Party, whose members comprise the 8% of China's total population. Initially, this party was composed solely of leading workers and farmers, although it now accepts individuals from a wide array of backgrounds. Exploring the ways in which China shares commonality with the Callipolis, we find that it too has an extremely rigorous process in selecting leadership. There are 1.52 million candidates who take the National Civil Servant exam, for which there are only 20,000 positions available. It is certainly difficult to gain a leadership role in such circumstances, which require rigorous testing and education. With over 4,000 government officials disciplined for corrupt behavior, China's political system benefits from President Xi Jinping's drive to eradicate the government of those ruled by their appetites, which creates a harmony similar to that found in the Callipolis. In its expanding military presence and claiming of territory in the South China Sea, we can see how the country is also like a democracy. It is no secret that China and its people have a history of highly favoring honor. Even today, there are still those who endeavor to acquire as much honor as it is thought China has had in the past. This is made evident by China's extreme increase in military spending. Indicative of a democracy, a strong military is deemed essential and highly sought after in order to gain honor. Besides, many of the leadership positions in the Communist Party are held by high-ranked leaders of the army. We now take a look at the similarities China shares with an oligarchy. This is the first governmental structure China has been publicly compared with in the recent past. Jeffrey Winters, a professor specialized in oligarchs, asserted that China can be deemed a rapidly emerging oligarchy. With only less than 1% of the population holding 800 billions, roughly 20% of China's 2009 GDP, it is easy to see why. Here, we see multiple ways in which China can be seen as a democracy. China is constantly changing, and as it continues to develop, it becomes more and more tolerant of individual freedoms, which are expressed in the growing consumerism. Although governmental officials are closely monitored, it is also encouraged for them to be chosen locally, which brings the government closer to being ruled by the people. Lastly, we have the tyranny. In China, independent political parties who oppose the Communist Party are banned to make sure the party maintains its power, something that weakens personal freedoms. It is also said that China has become more repressive under a self-indulgent ruler who controls the media and censors the internet. So it seems that China can be said to share features from all five types of government. But how? The answer is found in Plato's forms. Perhaps any modern political system shares in all five classifications at once because the political systems themselves partake multiple forms too. It might be the case then that no city or political structure is distinctly one classification, because it is impossible for an entire city or country to appeal to only one form.